He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Thursday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. A Thursday night that has us one day closer to Jaguar training camp. In fact, I believe 1 week from today, the Los Angeles Chargers and I want to say the Detroit Lions are officially the two teams that report first to training camp. They come in on the 17th of July because they play in the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. That is 3 weeks from tonight. That's right. The first NFL preseason game is 3 weeks from this evening. So we're going to do a lot of NFL talk tonight. We're going to do a lot of college football talk tonight as well. Let me kind of set the scene for you. Coming up in the early stages of the 9 o'clock hour, my buddy Leon Searcy. Hear him every day on primetime, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Our final team report of the spring/summer, I guess I'll call it. We started these things back in early May. We've gone all the way through May, June, and now the first part of July. One division per week. Leon is our 32nd and final team, which, of course, is the Jacksonville Jaguars. So we'll do a training camp preview with Leon Searcy. That comes up in the 9 o'clock hour. Also, in less than 15 minutes, Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated, one of my favorites to talk football with around the National Football League. We'll talk Jags. We'll talk AFC South and more with Matt Verderam of SI. That comes up in about 15 minutes. And in about 35 minutes, right about 8:40 or so this evening, Phil Steele of the Phil Steele Preseason College Football Magazine will join us. It is the best preseason college football publication going, has been for a long, long time. I mean, it is a preseason college football fan's dream. 2 full pages on every single team in Division I college football. Phil will join me to talk Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Miami, and more. And that conversation with Phil Steele comes up at about 8:40 this evening. So we're absolutely jam-packed. We're with it till 10 o'clock. As always, Jacksonville, we are glad and happy that you are spending part of your Thursday evening with us. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark, let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No, because it is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
We're going to do a little rotation, a little college ball, then to the NFL, back to college, back to the NFL, kind of a seesaw effect this evening here on Hacker After Dark. And I wanted to start in the world of college football. As I told you, I'm going to talk with Phil Steele coming up here in about 35 minutes about Florida, Florida State, Georgia, and Miami. Those are the 4, right? We have other fan bases, certainly, that listen to our radio station, but by and large, if there's a pie chart of 1010XL college football fans that listen to Hacker After Dark and listen to this radio station, an overwhelming majority of that pie chart would be Florida or Florida State or Georgia or Miami. I don't really think anybody can even argue that one in our listening area. And what's interesting about the Gators, the Seminoles, the Hurricanes, and the Dogs coming into 2025, none of them have the same starting quarterback that they did in July of 2024. Thomas Castellanos last year wasn't in Tallahassee right now. He was in Chestnut Hill. Carson Beck last year wasn't at the U. He was with Georgia. Gunnar Stockton last year was at Georgia, but he was Carson Beck's backup. And DJ Lagway was at Florida, but don't forget, this time last year, it was Graham Mertz that was the starting quarterback. Our 4 schools here locally, all entrusting brand new starting quarterbacks in 2025 to either take them to the promised land or, I guess in Florida State's case, climb out of that black hole that they dug themselves in 2024. Who are we most confident about? DJ Lagway in Gainesville? Gunnar Stockton in Athens? Carson Beck at the U? Or Thomas Castellanos in Tallahassee? 4 new starting quarterbacks for our 4 local teams. Who do we feel the best about in 2025? Well, I'm sure if you're a Gator fan, you feel the best about DJ Lagway, right? I'm sure if you're a Hurricane fan, you feel the best about Carson Beck. Perhaps you're a Georgia fan, you say, nope, I saw enough from Gunnar Stockton last year. I think he's going to take Georgia back to where they belong. And if you're a Florida State fan, I guess you'll be drinking the Kool-Aid and maybe taking Thomas Castellanos out of those 4, but that even to me would be a tough sell. Who's going to be right? One of those 4 guys, well, they're all 4 vital to their team's success. All 4 are pivotal to what their teams are going to do this season. Who locally do we have the most confidence in? Carson Beck's the most established, but he's had a brand new program. DJ Lagway, probably the second most established within the state, obviously, with what he did last year. Castellanos had a good season and a half at Boston College, but it ended terribly for him up there. And we really haven't seen a lot of Gunnar Stockton. Those 4 guys will tell the story of our 4 local college football teams in 2025. It will be fascinating to watch how each guy, Lagway, Castellanos, Stockton, and Beck, how they integrate themselves into their new system, their new program, and if they can assume that leadership role and be the player that each of those universities and each of our fan bases here locally hope and believe they can be. And that'll be one of the big stories, huge stories locally here for college football in the 2025 season. Denmark, we talked about this a few weeks ago, probably over a month ago now. Of the 4, let's include Stockton, Castellanos, with Beck, with Lagway. All 4 situations being weighed into this. Who do you feel the best about locally as a starting quarterback here in the world of college football?
I feel the best about Lagway, but I think the team that has the best chance to make the playoff is Georgia 1 and then Miami 2. Miami's got 2 tough games, Notre Dame and Florida. Then after that, it's not easy, but it's manageable. Georgia, I mean, they're just going to have playoff expectations because they're a top 10 team, have been for the last 7 years.
You feel better about Lagway than you do about Carson Beck, huh?
Yeah, I do. I think Lagway's, if he can stay healthy, not have a hamstring injury this year, I think Lagway can be one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Wow, I like that. And you're not the only Gator fan that thinks that. Believe me, anytime you say something negative about DJ Lagway, you hear about it for weeks on end. I'm living proof of that with my Lagway take last week. Just one thing to consider, though, and I'm not saying you're not considering this or anybody's not considering this. Carson Beck has completed 68% of his passes in his college career, has thrown for 58 touchdowns to only 20 interceptions, and has played in 39 college football games. Coming back from an injury, but again, so is DJ Lagway, mind you. Lagway has completed 60% of his passes for 12 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. I agree. In Jacksonville, Florida, people think DJ Lagway is going to be the best of those 4. It'll be very, very interesting to see if Gator Nation is right about that. More on college football coming up in less than 30 minutes. Phil Steele of the Preseason College Football Magazine. He joins me to talk Florida, Florida State, Georgia, and Miami. That comes up at about 8:40 this evening. Coming up next, let's get into the world of the National Football League. Let's talk Jaguars. Let's talk Jaguar training camp. Let's talk AFC South. If you haven't heard Matt Verderame on my show in the past, you're going to like him. For those of you that have heard him, he is a guy that I really enjoy having on. Does a terrific job for Sports Illustrated on a national basis. And he'll tell you what he thinks, man. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. He's got some very interesting opinions about what the Jaguars did this offseason, and he's got some really interesting opinions about what the rest of the AFC South looks like heading into 2025. My buddy Matt Verderame of SI joins me next on a Thursday night here in the city of Jacksonville. We're glad you're with us right here on Hacker After Dark.
Did you see that guy?
Tom McManus.
That is the toughest man I've ever seen in my life.
Catch Tommy Mack with Mike Dempsey and Fat Tony. Fridays on Jaguars Today, 10 to noon on 1010XL.
The best value for golf in Jacksonville remains Cimarron. Totally reestablished with new tee boxes, improved fairways and greens. Also a brand new restaurant with indoor and outdoor settings and live music. Join the Wild One loyalty program online at Cimarron Golf. When's the last time you played Cimarron? Cimarron Golf Club on 210, the Wild One.
Are you ready to play this summer? At the First Coast YMCA, we're committed to being your home for health and wellness and a place for friendly competition with team sports for adults and for kids. Basketball, volleyball, pickleball, flag football, soccer. The Y has something for everyone at any age. Discover all the benefits of YMCA membership and find your fun this summer at the Y. Registration for team sports and summer camps is open now. Visit fcymca.org.
Right now, you may be running a little late, or feeling stressed, or overwhelmed, and you may be going a bit over the speed limit. So to help you relax, exhale. Ease up on the gas. You'll get there when you get there. Take a moment to just chill. This little break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
David Lane here, and once again, I'm happy to share news of my success with back and knee surgeries at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. Whatever it is that's bothering you, take it from me. Simply set an appointment today at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists and let them help you get back to normal life. I'm certainly glad I did.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On July 10th, 1999, the United States beat China in penalty kicks 5-4 in the Women's World Cup Final.
When it comes to towing products, your safety is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Are you living with diabetic neuropathy? That pain and numbness in your hands or feet? What about chronic knee or shoulder pain? Maybe you've tried various treatments, but they've been ineffective. Now there's a solution. Dr. Ferdinand Formoso specializes in advanced pain management and offers breakthrough neuromodulation treatments for those conditions. His innovative treatments target the source of your pain, offering relief where medications may fall short. All procedures are performed outpatient with no hospitalization required. Just a chance for you to feel and live better. If you want to learn more, Dr. Formoso is hosting free informational classes where he'll explain the benefits of neuromodulation therapies and how they can help eliminate your pain. Spaces are limited, so call to reserve your spot now with offices on the South Side, West Side, and Jacksonville Beach. Relief is possible with Formoso Spine and Joint Pain Specialists.
Luke Lucas Tree Service is a certified arborist and a local family-owned business with over 45 years of experience. They specialize in tree removal, trimming, and stump grinding for both residential and commercial properties. Get prepared for storm season and receive top-notch customer service from Lucas Tree Service, 904-241-3533. Online at lucastreeservice.com.
If you're 35 to 75, you could get life insurance today. No medical exam needed. I'm Cody with Harborstone Financial. One call could protect your family for life. Call me today, 904-885-9566.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are glad you are with us. 2 weeks away from Jaguar training camp. In fact, it was announced earlier this week, the first practice that will be open to the public, Wednesday, July the 23rd. So we are right around the corner from the 2025 NFL season. Let's look back on maybe the craziest Jaguar offseason ever. Certainly the craziest one I can remember in a long, long time. Let's also look around the rest of the AFC South. Matt Verderam is one of our favorites. You catch his work on Sports Illustrated, and Matt's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Matt, how you doing?
Doing well, Ryan. How are you?
Hey, Matt, we're good, man. Thank you for the time. I know it's about to get very busy for you. Look, you and I spoke back when Liam Cohen was hired here in Jacksonville, January into February, and really since that point, the offseason just got crazier and crazier, from the James Gladstone hire to as active as Jacksonville was in free agency, and then obviously the Travis Hunter situation. From a mile-high view, Matt, how do you assess what Jacksonville did this offseason?
Look, I think they brought smart people into the building. Liam Cohen is somebody I have a lot of respect for. I think he's done an excellent job in multiple spots, whether it was with the Rams, whether it was with the Bucks. I think he's going to be a good head coach. I think he'd be a very good head coach. And I think he's exactly what Trevor Lawrence needs, which is an offensive mind and somebody with some stability here. Somebody where, if this works out, this could be the guy he's with for the next decade. Like, and that's obviously what we're hoping for. It's not easy to find that in the NFL. That's help. Gladstone is very young. Everybody knows that. But he's also paired with Tony Boselli, who is very well respected around the league. Somebody who is not just, I mean, obviously he's a Jacksonville legend, but he's somebody who in the NFL is widely seen as a smart person to have in the brain trust. And now look, I mean, is that roster ready to win a Super Bowl? No, it's not. They're not going to end up in Santa Clara this year, barring a miracle. That's not going to happen. But I would say this. I think that division is pretty open. I mean, look, you could make an argument that if some things break right for Jacksonville, it could be a team that threatens to win that division or flat out wins. So I think if you're Liam Cohen, if you're Gladstone, if you're Trevor Lawrence, my goal going into the season is, hey, look, we want to be playing meaningful football to the last couple of weeks of the year with a shot to win that division.
Matt, you mentioned Trevor Lawrence. I feel like I've done this with you now the last couple of years in the month of July. Talk about how big this year is for Trevor, and now here we are again. It's his fourth head coach in 6 years. If you go back to his final year at Clemson, I mean, good grief, he's going to have the third straight year with a different center here in Jacksonville. He has not been dealt the best hand, but he's going to be 26 in October, Matt. I mean, he's not exactly the young kid anymore. I mean, it's time for Trevor Lawrence to do something, correct?
Yeah, it is. I mean, look, you're right in everything you said. I mean, obviously it's factual. Like they have changed out centers, they've changed out coaches and coordinators. It has not been an easy ride for him. It hasn't been. He's had some injuries. That being said, I mean, I don't want to hear it at this point that, you know, it's on everybody else. It's also on him. And I've watched Trevor Lawrence. Look, I would say I've probably realistically watched 90% of his throws in the NFL. I mean, he is an extremely talented player who sometimes misses throws that he just can't miss. And that has nothing to do with who his coach is. And that has nothing to do with who his center is. He's got to make the throw. To me, at some point, it just doesn't matter. I don't want to hear about it. Like, if you've got a guy wide open on a 15-yard out route, you got to hit him, period. It doesn't matter what the reasoning is behind it. Like, and that's where I would challenge him to be better this year, is the avoidable miscues, the avoidable errors. Those are the things that just got to be cleaned up. He has in a game 10 to 15 easy throws. He's got to hit every one of them. Some guy drops it, they drop it. That's not on him, obviously. But other than that, like, he's got to hit those guys in the hands. Can't sail one over somebody's head into the sideline. And so, look, I think he is a very talented quarterback. He's proven that he can get him to the playoffs. He's proven in the playoffs he can play well. But they need, you don't want this to start to become a Justin Herbert thing where you sit there and look at Herbert and go, yeah, listen, Herbert's talented and he's terrific and all that. But, like, what is it amounting to? It's amounting to nothing. Who cares? With Lawrence and Cohen, you'll want this to be a partnership that you'll look back on in a few years and go, yeah, that worked. That's what we build around going forward. And it starts this year.
Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Matt, Trevor Lawrence will be throwing the ball to Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. And you've covered the league for a while, man. I mean, the Hunter thing is fascinating to me. Boy, he wants to play both sides of the ball. And in rookie minicamp, OTAs, and veteran minicamp, he certainly practiced on both sides of the ball. I'm going to be fascinated to see how they start working that in once the pads come on in training camp. I mean, what's your thought with the whole Travis Hunter thing? Is it physically and, quite frankly, mentally possible? Are there enough hours in the day where he can be prepared to play offense and defense on an NFL Sunday?
If I was Jacksonville, and I'm not Liam Cohen, and I'm not in that building. If I were them, I would approach this like, look, let's get this kid up to speed on one side of the football first. Like, let's just get him really comfortable. Okay, let's get him to where you're walking away from a practice or a week of practice and say, okay, we feel like if he had to play 50 snaps as a receiver, he could do it. He knows the routes. He knows the combinations. He knows the terminology. That we could put him out there and he'd be just fine. And then I would start to say, all right, now let's work him into corner. And, okay, he's going to play 40 snaps a game at corner. And we're going to work him into that terminology and all the rest of it. I think expecting him to just go out there and play 100 snaps a game is, historically speaking, very, very difficult. I mean, yes, guys in the 50s and 40s and 30s, yeah, guys play both ways. Nobody has played both ways consistently in the NFL since Chuck Bednarik retired with the Eagles in 1960. He was a center and a linebacker. This is really uncharted territory in the modern NFL. Deion would play a handful of stuff, but nothing like this, where you're talking about a guy really legitimately playing on both sides of the football. I think you ease him in, because what you don't want to do is completely overwhelm the kid, and then you're in a spot where he's losing confidence and he's not playing well on either side of the ball. I think you start with one side and then go to the other. But let's be honest, they gave up a ton to draft him. The only way that trade makes sense for Jacksonville is if he ends up being a quality player on both sides. So I do think that's going to be the end game here, but I think they have to try to kind of ease him in a little bit and not just completely overload him.
It's interesting because we obviously spent a lot of time on Trevor and Travis Hunter. You look at the rest of the skill position, Matt, and whether it's Brian Thomas Jr., obviously, I think De'Ami Brown was a sneaky good signing to be a third wide receiver based on what he did in the playoffs for Washington. Etienne and Bigsby are going to battle it out at the running back spot in training camp. We'll see about Brenton Strange. I mean, on paper, the skill position here in Jacksonville isn't half bad.
No, it's not. I mean, Thomas was awesome. Thomas didn't get to shine nationally because they weren't good, but he was excellent. He was one of the best receivers in the league last year, regardless of whether he was a rookie or a veteran. Dad Hunter, right? And then I'm a big Bigsby fan. I think he's a good running back. And Etienne, like you said, I mean, they'll battle it out, but the reality is they're both going to get their carries. And so the big question with Jacksonville is going to be, look, let's be honest. Can they hold up front? And do you get anything out of the tight end position? With Ingram being gone, it is Strange's job to lose. What do you get out of it? But, look, I think Jacksonville, with Cohen calling the shots, they should be able to score points. I think the $1 million question is, again, I mean, can you make that offensive line come together? Some new faces there. And then on top of that, defensively, you got to get something out of this pass defense. The last couple of years, pass defense has just been an abomination. They can't stop anybody. They got to be able to shore that up. But, I will say, you mentioned De'Ami Brown as one of the guys that you like a signing. I like the Hainsley signing in this regard. He knows the offense. He is going to be a huge help for the other offensive linemen and for Lawrence. That, I actually talked to some people around the team about that signing right after it happened, and was told over and over, hey, look, this guy is going to shorten the learning curve for everybody there. And, he's a former starter, played in Tampa. He I think, quietly, look, he, as talent-wise, probably an average center. He's not bad by any means. He's not an all-pro. He's not going to go to the Pro Bowl. He's an average center, but he is going to help everybody else in that building, especially on that line, getting used to Liam Cohen's offense and all the terminology and everything else.
Final moments, Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated. Hainsey's just one of 6 new guys they brought in on the offensive line between free agency and the draft. You want to talk about a complete and total overhaul. Matt, quickly to the defense, and then I want to end with the AFC South. Look, like you said, they got players, man. Hines Allen, Trayvon Walker. That's a pretty good combo. Aluakin at linebacker, Tyson Campbell. They bring in, Jordan Lewis and Eric Murray. And I'm just curious, was it a Ryan Nielsen problem last year or a player personnel problem? They're going to move Eric Armstead back to his natural position, which was a joke that he wasn't there last year in the first place. So we'll see. But clearly the defense was terrible last year, and they got to get significantly better in a short amount of time.
I think it was a combination of those two things. Look, the coaching was not good. The Armstead thing was insane. I mean, watching that from afar, that was just, it was emblematic of everything that went wrong. At the same point, you're right. Like the players you mentioned, I love the combo on the outside. Walker's become a really nice player, and obviously Hines Allen's terrific. They have some really good players. The problem is, I have a working theory on the NFL on defenses, which is you would rather have 11 guys if there's not a single star, but they're all just solid players, than have 3 or 4 big-time stars and 5 guys who you just do not want to have on the field. Because in the NFL, if you can find that one corner who can't cover, if you can find that one D lineman that can't stop the run, if you can find that one linebacker who's not going to be gap integrity and you can move around, bootleg, you're going to destroy the defense. It's just any good offense is going to find those 2 or 3 guys and just say, they're the pigeons. We're going to attack them nonstop. And it takes everybody out of the game. I mean, that's where, I think it's so important to have that scheme. And that's where a good coordinator, a defensive coordinator, says, all right, look, we have to protect these 2 or 3 spots. We have to shade the safety to the one side. We've got to make sure that one linebacker who can be influenced, we get him off the field on certain downs and distances where we know from film study this team can try to do some stuff. That's where good coaching comes in. But look, I think Jacksonville defensively, you're right. There are some guys who are very good players, but they need the floor. Those guys that maybe if you did a power ranking of their defensive starters, that bottom third, those guys cannot be a disaster. They don't have to be stars. You're never going to have stars as your 9th best defensive player. You need the guy to just be a solid player. Hey, I can put him out there and he's not going to get us killed.
It's interesting that you put it like that because one of James Gladstone's primary messages with the entire roster was raise the floor of the roster. Balky was always worried about the ceiling, bringing in the big-name guys. Well, Gladstone brought in like 15 pro free agents. I wouldn't call any of them necessarily stars, but the Jordan Lewises of the world, the Eric Murrays of the world. Right. You mentioned Hainsey, McCarry from Baltimore, guys like that. Seems like you and Gladstone are on the same page there.
Listen, I came into my current job. I mean, I worked my way covering the Chiefs. And, I watched that team develop from being a team that you looked at and said, okay, they're good, with Alex Smith. And, they're a playoff team. And then they got Mahomes, and they obviously became what they've become. But I got to tell you, for all the star power that they have, if you go back and look at their Super Bowl runs, so much of it is due to guys like Jerick McKinnon and guys like Drew Tranquill. And guys, they're not going to Canton. They're not the Mahomeses and the Joneses and the Kelces. And look, if you're going to win a Super Bowl, you need guys like that. You need the stars. But if you're going to win consistently, if you're going to win double-digit games year in and year out, you need those guys who are just floor raisers, who are just good players. Yeah, I'll just stick with the Chiefs, the Isaiah Pacheco's of the world. Guys who you just say, look, that guy's never going to camp. That guy may never even see a Pro Bowl. But he's just a really good, solid player. Justin Reed was another one that they had. Like guys who just, that guy is going to make the play he's supposed to make. I don't have to, if you're the coordinator in charge of that player, you're not going to bed at night worrying about, oh God, I hope he doesn't blow this assignment. I hope he's in his book. Like, you don't have to worry about it. You know that guy's a professional. He's going to do his job. And if Jacksonville can get that out of the bottom third or so of the roster, they may not win a Super Bowl because of it, but they will stop losing games they shouldn't lose because of it. That's when you'll stop giving away games. You'll stop blowing at coverages and assignments. That stuff, it may not lead to 12-5, but it does lead to you no longer being 5-12. And that's where I think Gladstone did a very good job this offseason.
Matt, final question. We got about 60 seconds. We won't hold you to it. Obviously, it's only the middle portion of July, but as camps open up in 2 weeks, what are your thoughts on the AFC South 1-4 as it stands right now?
Look, I think Tennessee's the fourth team just because, look, it's a rebuild, right? I mean, Mike Borgonzi's coming in there, and he's trying to completely revamp that thing. Cam Ward is going to have his learning curve and his growing pains. I like Ward, but it's going to be a challenge. Let's be honest. That roster's not ready to compete yet. I think Jacksonville and Indianapolis, in some order, are 2-3. If you ask me, if you say, look, you got to bet $100, I'd probably take Jacksonville too. Indianapolis to me has the better overall 1-53 roster, but the quarterback situation's a disaster. And people always have a tendency this time of year to say, well, if this, if that, if they're nice, they're a disaster in the NFL. And those two quarterbacks are not good. Houston is the best team, but I will say this: Houston's vulnerable because I don't know that they can block anybody. They might have the worst offensive line in football. And if Nico Collins doesn't stay healthy for 17 games, I have no idea who they're throwing football to. I get it. They drafted the kids out of Iowa State. That's a huge ask for rookies to come in there and run and carry an offense. So I do think Houston's the best team, but I think Jacksonville, if things break right, I think Jacksonville is an interesting team in that division.
Matt, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, man, Sports Illustrated, as training camps open up, what you guys will have as far as coverage.
Yeah, we're going to tour. Look, between the four of us, Albert Breer, Connor Orr, Gilberto Manzano, myself, we'll be at every camp. I'll be out in the Midwest. I might swing by down to the Southeast. We'll see. But Albert Breer will be at almost every single camp. I'm sure he'll be down in Jacksonville. So, if you follow us over at SI, we'll have camp reports, we'll have columns, we'll have features coming out of every single camp in the NFL. And then going into the season, we'll be all over the place. We'll be everywhere week to week.
Matt Verderam, one of our favorites of Sports Illustrated, always with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Matt, enjoy the last couple of days of summer. We'll see you out there at training camp.
Hey, thanks a lot, Ryan. Take care.
There you go, Matt Verderam of SI with us here on 1010XL. Love his perspective, and I tend to agree with him. At least that's where I also sit right now. Tennessee, I think Cam Ward's actually going to be pretty good, but I just don't think there's anything there around him. I mean, Calvin Ridley, and then what else do you really have at wide receiver, right? You got a lot of young guys. You got Van Jefferson, nothing against the former Florida Gator, Traylon Burks, who has never lived up to first round, billing. So their wide receiver position is blah. Their offensive line has to be better, but that's relative. I don't think it's that much better. So I think Cam Ward's going to be fine, but I'm concerned about how bad or how good Tennessee could be in 2025. So I don't think they're going to be in the conversation. Indianapolis, I agree with Matt. I think 1-53, you could legit argue Indianapolis might have the best overall roster in the division. I mean, think about it. Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman Jr. and the rookie Tyler Warren and Quentin Nelson and Alec Pierce and Joshua Downs and A.D. Mitchell and go on and on. DeForest Buckner. They signed Travarius Ward. They signed Cam Bynum. They got dudes on that team. They don't have any idea what they're doing at quarterback, which last time I checked is pretty important. So because of the quarterback situation in Indy, I probably have them 3 right now. I would probably have Jacksonville 2. And maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit, but I don't think it's that far-fetched. I think the Jaguars are the second best team in the division. And I'm going to take Houston, but it's not really for the offense. It's not really for Stroud. He's fine. Nico Collins better have a great year because they don't have a lot else at wide receiver. No offense to Christian Kirk. They got 2 veteran running backs, Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon. All right, we'll see. The Texan offensive line was a disaster last year, and it might have gotten worse this offseason. I'm going to take Houston because of their defense, man. Their defense is sick. Their defense could be nasty. I mean, obviously, with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, but just look in that secondary. You had Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You got Jalen Petrie. You obviously got Derek Stingley. I mean, you got some guys on that Texan defense. So I'm not going to be held to it yet. We'll do our official predictions, if you will, the Wednesday before the Thursday night opener in September. But I think at least going into camp, my thought process is Houston 1, Jacksonville 2, Indianapolis 3, and probably Tennessee coming in at number 4. More on the National Football League coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. My buddy Leon Searcy, hear him every day on primetime, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Our 32nd and final, I guess, off-season review, if you will. We've hit every division. We've hit every market, every team in the NFL over the last 2 months. We always end here in the hometown, and we'll end with my buddy Leon Searcy talking Jags offseason. That comes up at about 9:15 or so this evening. Coming up next, college football fans, I got a treat for you. Phil Steele, of that, Phil Steele, preseason college football magazine. Let's get Phil on to talk Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Miami, and more. It's the best preseason college football magazine in the business and has been for quite some time. The man that puts it together is Phil Steele. He joins me next on a Thursday night here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us on Hacker After Dark.
Tom McManus straps on the helmet and joins Lauren Brooks and Taylor Dahl for the new Helmets and Heels. New attitude, new time. Afternoons 2 to 4 on 1010XL. Tommy Mack makes his Helmets and Heels debut July 14th.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Brackish Vodka, the spirit of the sportsman and proud partner of the Jaguars, is thrilled to announce you can get all of their flavors and original vodka at PJ Liquors in St. Augustine. PJ Liquors, since 1999, has been serving up summertime fun. Now enjoy Brackish Vodka, the #1 local vodka in North Florida. Brackish Vodka is the first clean craft vodka, and you can find their 9 flavors at PJ Liquors. Brackish Vodka, for whatever your sport is. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
Hi, Zoe Saldana. Welcome to T-Mobile. Here's your new iPhone 16 Pro on us.
Thanks. And here's my old phone to trade in.
You don't need a trade-in. When you switch to T-Mobile, we'll give you a new iPhone 16 Pro. Plus, we'll help you pay off your old phone up to $800, and you still get to keep it.
There's always a trade-in.
Not right now at T-Mobile.
I feel like I have to give you something in return for karma.
That's okay.
I don't really have much in my purse. Oh, let's see. Hand sanitizer. It's lavender.
I'm good. Seriously.
Let me check this pocket. Oh, mints?
Really, I'm fine.
Oh, I have raisins. I'm a mom. Wait 1 sec. I've got cupcakes in the car.
It's our best iPhone offer ever. Switch to T-Mobile. Get a new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on us. No trade-in needed. We'll even pay off your phone up to $800.
With 24 monthly bill credits, new line $100 plus a month on experience beyond finance agreement $999.99 and qualifying forwarded. For well qualified plus tax and $10 connection charge. Pay off via virtual prepaid for up to 15 days. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. See T-Mobile.com.
As a contractor, finding reliable subcontractors is key to project success. Prosser here. Guys, that's where Lloyd's Heating and Air shines. Not just your mechanical HVAC experts, but your partner, understanding every facet of construction to keep your project on track. Lloyd's will spot issues early before they cause delays. If you're a contractor with a need for reliability, visit LloydsHeatingandAir.com. Lloyd's Heating and Air. keeping you comfortable in every season.
Kick off another college football season with players, coaches, and insiders of the best conference. The Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing SEC Media Days. Opened by Window World of Northeast Florida, Underwood Jewelers, and Florida Pest Control.
Hi, I'm Karen, owner of Clay Solar Installation Partners, your local woman-owned solar company. Did you hear? JEA is raising rates again. With summer right around the corner, those power bills are only going to go up. But with solar, you can take control of energy costs and say goodbye to rising rates. At Clay Solar, we make switching easy and affordable. Stop paying more for power and own it. Visit claysolar.com to schedule a consultation today.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Need or want cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all, selling or pawning. Get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Get ready. The Jacksonville Rock Orchestra brings to life the magic of Fleetwood Mac. Like you've never heard it before. A 27-piece symphony fused with a full rock band, performing timeless hits like Rhiannon, Dreams, and You Make Loving Fun. One night only, July 11th at the historic Florida Theater. Get tickets today at floridatheater.com.
Hayes Carline here. If you're shopping for a new ride, you've got to check out Atlantic Infinity. Not only do you get a luxury vehicle, you also get the Atlantic Infinity Promise Free with every new car. That's almost $2,500 in added value just for buying smarter, and you don't have to sweat it out on the lot. Shop in their indoor climate-controlled showrooms. It's cool, comfortable, hassle-free. They're on Atlantic near St. John's Bluff, or browse anytime at atlanticinfinity.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. You know, there are some things throughout the year where you just know you're getting close to college football season. And one of those is right now. Whenever it's Phil Steele time here on 1010XL, we know the college football season is right around the corner. Of course, Phil Steele of the Phil Steele Preseason College Football Magazine. He's done it for years. I think it's the best preseason publication going. And Phil is always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Phil, how you doing, my friend?
You know, I am doing great, Ryan. This is my off season for me. I'm doing 6 to 7 radio shows a day, kicking back, relaxing. No magazine deadline to worry about.
You know, look, you already did yeoman's work on this year's magazine. I know people are getting it left and right off of bookshelves. Before we dive into the Gators and the Seminoles, the Hurricanes and the Dogs, Phil, let's talk about this year's magazine, what went into it, and more importantly, where college football fans here in Jacksonville can get their hands on it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Ryan. You know, we start the Sunday after Thanksgiving and pour 7 months worth of effort into it. I do it in a 3 right-through process. The first right-through is done right after the season's over. I talk about each position, what happened with the position, what's shaped the position once heading into last year, what happened, and what to look forward to for the upcoming year. Naturally, in the second right-through, which is done pre-spring, you get the last part of that gets rewritten because players have moved and you add players due to the transfer portal. And the third is after talking to the head coaches. And I've talked to 125 about it, 135 head coaches out there. It's been about an hour plus going over the team, and we took that all the way down into the final week. I was talking to coaches because the second transfer portal window put us a little bit behind. So there are a couple of typos in it, but I tell you what, there's over 1 million words and numbers. You get 2 full pages on every team. It's like getting 136 media guides rolled into one. And it's exclusively at Barnes & Noble and Books A Million. Those are the only 2 locations that get it, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. Or you can go to philsteele.com. And when you go to philsteele.com, I'm going to charge you a shipping charge. It costs to ship things. But we give you the digital magazine, a $19.95 value, free with that. And we actually update the digital magazine all the way through September. So Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, philsteele.com. But 7 months of labor went into this magazine.
You know this. I tell you every year, it's the best preseason magazine going. I've gotten it for years. Absolutely love it. We'll tell folks again here in Jacksonville how they can get their hands on the Phil Steele preseason college football magazine in just a moment. Phil, let's dive right into the Florida Gators. You and I spoke about a year ago, and at that time, there was a lot of uncertainty as to Billy Napier's future in Gainesville. Fast forward a year, and now there are even some people, Phil, that are calling Florida perhaps a dark horse college football playoff participant. What are your thoughts on the Gators heading into 2025?
Yeah, and, Ryan, I'll go back to my conversation I had with Coach Napier last year. I said, Coach, my goodness, that schedule, it's the toughest schedule in the country. And he said, Phil, at the end of the year, you might not think that. And the reason for that is he thought they would do better against the schedule than they did, come up with a few more wins than expected. And at the end of the year, I still had it top 10, but I rated it number 9. And that's because of the way they finished last year. Napier was on the hot seat after some early losses, but the way they knocked off LSU, Ole Miss, and then won their final 2 games to finish 8-5 against that schedule last year really showed a lot. I love the way that they brought in DJ Lagway, a quarterback. Lagway, if he's 100% healthy this year, and I think he will be, should be one of the top quarterbacks in the country. You look at the run game led by Jaden Baugh, a guy that had nearly 700 yards on the ground last year, should have an even better year. Remember, he was just a true freshman last season. Or was a true freshman last season. And then you look at the receiving core led by J. Michael Sturdivant, who comes over from UCLA, a solid offensive line, and the defense is strong. Now, the schedule remains tough. It's still my number 12 rated schedule in the country, and they've got some killer slates in there, Ryan. At LSU, at Miami, Texas, and at Texas A&M is 1 4-game stretch. Georgia later in the year, at Ole Miss, Tennessee. A lot of tough games on the schedule, but as they proved last year, they're getting better each and every year under Napier. They can knock off the big boys. And if they knock off the big boys, yes, indeed, they can be an SEC contender this year.
Phil, it's not the sexiest or most glamorous position, but you talk about Jake Slaughter and Austin Barber on the offensive line, Caleb Banks, Tyreek Sapp on the defensive line, potentially 3 or even 4 first-round picks there in 2026. The Gators have certainly built up the lines of scrimmage.
Yeah, and I think that speaks volumes of the recruiting job that Coach Napier is doing and the retention job as well. And, one of the things I look at, Ryan, when I look at a team is the strength of the line. I rate Florida as the number 5 offensive line in the country and the number 10 defensive line in the country. And if you're strong at the line of scrimmage, you're going to win a lot of football games.
Phil Steele of the Preseason College Football Magazine is with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Phil, it was a disaster in Tallahassee last year, a football disaster. I don't think you and I had any idea when we talked in July of 24 that, 2-10. I'm 41 years old. I've never seen Florida State go through anything like that. I know you talked to Mike Norvell this offseason. He cleaned house with his staff, a new quarterback, a lot of guys out of the transfer portal. What are your thoughts on Florida State heading into the year?
Yeah, what a difference a year makes, huh, Ryan? Coming from an undefeated season the previous year, ACC champions, and down to 2-10. You're right. If you would have given me an over-under total of 3 for Florida State last year, I wouldn't have a house right now because there's no way Florida State only wins 2 games, but that's what happened. And sometimes it's a snowball atmosphere, and I think if you're heavy in the transfer portal like Florida State is, sometimes you hit home runs. Like, let's go back to 2023 when they went 13-0 before the players departed. And then sometimes, like last year, if you have a whole bunch of new players coming in and things aren't going well, maybe things snowball at the end of the year. But I like Thomas Castellanos, the addition to him at quarterback. I think he gives him a mobility at that position. That's going to be a plus. I like what he did at BC. I don't think he meshed with the offense, what was brought in last year. I think he does mesh with this offense. So I look for big things out of him. I like the running back core with Roydell Williams, Jalen Lucas, and Sawchuk. The offensive line, they bring in some key transfers. The key is going to be, did Norvell hit the home runs with the transfer portal? And it's got a pretty good track record with it. Last year being the exception. I think we'll see an improved Florida State team, but I don't think we're going to see that the double-digit win Florida State team. I think it's going to be tough to get back to that level, but I do think we're going to see Florida State be more than like Florida State, probably an 8 or 9 win year coming off last year's 2-win total, and they are my number one most improved team in the country this year.
Did you like the hire of Gus Malzahn as the offensive coordinator, Phil?
Love the hire. I mean, I think given him I'm talking to Coach Malzahn when he was at UCF and all the things the head coach goes through, having him just concentrate on the offense, wow, that's going to be outstanding. And I also like the hire of Tony White on defense. Coming over from Nebraska, I mean, they had top 10 defenses the last 2 years without quite the personnel that you would expect.
Couple more for Phil Steele of the preseason Phil Steele College Football Magazine. Phil, let's round out the state, going down to South Florida and talking about the Hurricanes. The Carson Beck era of Miami football gets underway. Obviously, big shoes to fill, replacing Cam Ward. And Phil, we're going to know pretty quick about Miami as they have Notre Dame and Florida in the first 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. We are going to find out about Miami right in the first month. And, Carson Beck is a guy who Coach Cristobal is very high on, feels he's driven and that is very smart. And keep in mind, Georgia last year led the country in drop passes and didn't protect very well. Well, he's got a better receiving core to throw to here, bringing in a guy like C.J. Daniels from LSU. At wide receiver, having a Trader there already, a guy that was one of the top freshmen coming out of high school last year, got his feet wet last year. I look for a big year out of him. The offensive line looks very solid. Cooper and Mayaga at the guard and tackle spots are outstanding, and the defense looks solid as well. And Mario Cristobal is a guy that's just hitting that portal all the time. He's always looking to add players, and I think he's doing a really good job building this team. It's a little disappointing they didn't get to the playoff last year. I think had they held on against Syracuse in the season final and won that game, they would have been in the playoff, would have at least been in the ACC title game. And they've got that opportunity again this year. The key is going to be, what kind of year does Carson Beck have? But I can tell you, Cristobal is very confident in the fact that he's going to have a good year.
Phil, as we make the turn for home, let's get a thought about Georgia from you. And it's interesting in the people that I've talked to that cover that team for their standards. I'm not saying they're totally under the radar, but for the Georgia standards of the last couple of years, people love Texas. People love Clemson, LSU, Alabama a little bit. Is Georgia, by their standard, maybe a little under the radar coming into the season?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, you go back and take a look at the last 5 years, they have always been a preseason top 5 team at the end of the year. The last 2 years, preseason number 1 at the end of the year. And I think Texas is going to be the preseason favorite to win the SEC this year when the media poll votes. And Georgia will be close. They'll be up there. And I think if you look at this Georgia team, you do have some question marks at quarterback. Gunnar Stockton should do well. They lose their top 2 receivers from last year, so you have a little question mark there. There's no star power on defense. There's not those big names that they normally have. But this Georgia team, I think, is completely under the radar. I think Stockton will have a good year. The offensive line should be improved over last year. And I like the receiving core. It is upgraded over last season. And defensively, Glenn Schumann's doing a great job over there, and this is an underrated group that goes deep. I mean, they use their 3 deep the entire game. I think they'll have one of the best Ds. Now, why did Georgia not have the usual success last year? Well, look at that schedule. They had to play Alabama, Texas, and Ole Miss all on the road last year. Guess what? Their toughest 3 games are, again, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Texas, but they get all 3 teams at home, and they haven't lost between the hedges the last 5 years. I actually have Georgia favored in all 12 games this year, and they're my pick to win the SEC, and I like the fact they're a little bit under the radar, Ryan.
Final moments with Phil Steele. All right, Phil, as we wrap up, I want to talk about the magazine at the end as well, certainly. You mentioned you think Georgia's going to win the SEC. What is your thought about Florida and the SEC overall? And same question, Florida State and Miami in the ACC. How do you see them stacking up?
Yeah, Florida, I've got ranked 17th in the country. Actually, number 10 in my power poll. They'd be higher if they didn't have such a killer schedule. I do look at the fact they play LSU, Miami, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M all away from home. But I've got them tied for 7th in the SEC just due to the schedule factor. With Florida State this year, I think they get back towards the top of the ACC. As mentioned, I don't think they're at the top. I've got them in 4th. There are 3 really good teams, Clemson, Miami, and SMU I have at the very top of it, but I've got Florida State tied for 4th, which would be a big bounce back year. With Miami, they're a legitimate ACC title contender, like they were last year. I think it's a very talented team, capable of being up there. Coming into the season, I only have them ranked 14th, but it wouldn't surprise me if they contend for that top ACC spot this year.
Phil, final question. The Big Ten has won back-to-back national championships. Is there pressure on the SEC to kind of regain their throne this season?
I think there is a little bit of pressure because of the fact that, I mean, how many times has the SEC gone 3 straight years without winning a national title? That would be pretty tough. So I think there is a little bit of pressure. And if you look at my conference ratings, I've got the Big Ten, the SEC right up there at the top spot as they are. And really, Ryan, when you look at college football overall, it's the Big Ten, the SEC, then a drop-off, then it's the ACC and the Big 12.
It's the best preseason college football magazine going, has been so for many, many years. Phil Steele. Phil, again, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about the magazine and where they can find it.
I appreciate that, Ryan. The magazine, as mentioned, exclusively Barnes & Noble and Books A Million. We used to be all over the place. It's a lot better having it exclusive like this. Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. Get them before they get sold out there. Or you can go online to philsteele.com. That's STEELE.com. When you go to philsteele.com, I'm going to charge you a shipping charge. But what we do is we give you the digital version absolutely free, and the digital version to go along with your magazine. And the digital version is actually updated all the way through the month of September. So Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, or philsteele.com.
He's the best in the business, Phil Steele of the Phil Steele Preseason College Football Magazine. Phil, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it, buddy, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds great, Ryan. Appreciate you having me on, and always enjoy our conversations, my friend.
You demanded more of us. You demanded perfection. But we have won every single game we have played till now. So this team is perfect. We stepped out on that field that way tonight. That's how we want to leave it.
1010XL. If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
They were right. It could have waited. I can't believe it happened to me. Reaching to check my phone. Now my family has to hear that I'm never coming home again.
Officer?
I'm so sorry. I have some very sad news to share with you.
Every day, 9 people on Florida roadways don't make it home. I was one of the people that didn't make it home.
Ride with Do Not Disturb. Every trip, every time. Let's get everyone home safely. A message from Florida Department of Transportation, Target Zero. For more information, visit targetzerofl.com.
It's your go-to for golf talk. The Edwin Watts Golf Hour.
All we need to do is develop the rest of your game. Then you'll be unstoppable, son.
Get local updates, gear reviews, and all things golf talk. Saturday mornings at 10 on 1010XL.
This is Mark Nato. My son Justin injured his hand playing baseball for JU.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist performed surgery just a few days later, and within 5 weeks, he was cleared to play in the ASUN baseball tournament. Our family has trusted Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for years. For any orthopedic injury, let Southeast Orthopedic Specialists take care of you too.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
If a birthday or anniversary is looming in your immediate future, take care of it today by ordering a floral arrangement online at CuneFlowers.com. You'll be the star of their day. This is Frank Franchi. Take it from me. An arrangement from Cune Flowers works like magic.
Celebrate National Carpet Cleaning Month with Zero Res. Hicken here. Check this out. $45 per room of carpet clean. Take 20% off your air duct services. Book online at ZeroResJacksonville.com and take advantage of the savings. Zero Res.
With 50 years of fabrication expertise in towing products, the family at Cannons of Jacksonville can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys locksmith service.
Are you living with diabetic neuropathy? That pain and numbness in your hands or feet? What about chronic knee or shoulder pain? Maybe you've tried various treatments, but they've been ineffective. Now there's a solution. Dr. Ferdinand Formoso specializes in advanced pain management and offers breakthrough neuromodulation treatments for those conditions. His innovative treatments target the source of your pain, offering relief where medications may fall short. All procedures are performed outpatient with no hospitalization required. Just a chance for you to feel and live better. If you want to learn more, Dr. Formoso is hosting free informational classes where he'll explain the benefits of neuromodulation therapies and how they can help eliminate your pain. Spaces are limited, so call to reserve your spot now with offices on the South Side, West Side, and Jacksonville Beach. Relief is possible with Formoso spine and joint pain specialists.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Halftime, Hacker After Dark, 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We'll take you up till 10 o'clock as we do every night right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. Coming up here in the 9 o'clock hour, towards the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, we've talked so much about the AFC South. We've made stops in Indianapolis, in Nashville, in Houston. We'll talk to Leon Searcy in about 15 minutes as well. We'll kind of wrap all that up with Mike Patton. He is the host of the Touring, the AFC South podcast. We'll certainly talk Jags, but I want to extend it into the Texans, into the Colts, and into the Tennessee Titans as well. So we'll kind of talk AFC South at large with Mike Patton, who is the host of the Touring, the AFC South podcast. That comes up at the bottom of the hour. Again, coming up in less than 15 minutes, my buddy Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You hear him every day on primetime. We get him weekly during the season here on Hacker After Dark, and we'll talk with Leon tonight, recapping the Jaguar offseason and, again, looking ahead to training camp 2025, 13 days away from the first practice of training camp, Wednesday, July 23rd. 9 practices in total are open to you, the Jaguar fans. You go to jaguars.com to register for your tickets, and should be a lot of fun. It'll get here quick, and obviously all eyes will be on Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, and this roster they have put together. And you better get one of those roster sheets that they hand you at the gate if you go down there, because there are so many new guys than were here in January when the season ended. Again, the number fluctuates every so often, but at the end of minicamp, the number was around 55, I want to say, guys that were not even here in January. that are now part of this 90-man roster, and it should be some scene down there at training camp 2025. Denmark, before we get back into the NFL, a quick follow-up on Phil Steele and some of the things he had to say. Do you agree, or let me ask you this. Do you buy the Texas hype, because they're getting a ton of it? Is that all just Arch Manning, or is there a deeper issue there? And do you think Texas is the favorite coming into the SEC in 2025?
Yes and yes. They got the most money in college football.
And, I mean, look, Arch Manning didn't play a lot last year. He played sparingly at best. I mean, what do we really know about him? I guess my question is, if his name was Arch Robinson or Arch Smith, would he be getting the hype that he is? His name is Arch Manning?
No, he talked about this the other day on ESPN. He knows that last name carries a lot of weight, and he knows, and everybody else knows it. If he had a different last name, he would not be the Heisman hopeful and be the leader in that candidate. But it is what it is. When you can't really pick, what family you're born into. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is projecting, and he can run, which we did see that last year. And when a quarterback can run, that opens up a lot more for what you can do. For Steve Sarkisian and that offense.
Oh, let me ask you this. You don't know the team. I'm just going to say Denmark. You don't know who your running backs are, your wide receivers are. You don't know what kind of offense you're running. You could have Lagway or Arch Manning. Who are you taking?
I'd take Lagway. I know what I'm getting. I don't know what I'm getting from Arch Manning.
Wow. All right. Well, you're in there drinking the Lagway Kool-Aid. I love it. Hey, look, I'm not saying you're wrong. I just think, and you and I talked about this. I talked about it with JJ when he was in here as well. Look, I think DJ Lagway is going to be a good player. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to be good, and I'm not saying he might not go to New York as a Heisman finalist. I'm saying all that's very, very possible. But there is a lot of hype for a guy that completed 60% of his passes last year with 12 touchdowns and 9 picks. And you can say, well, he was injured half the year and he wasn't starting. Well, you're right. Yeah, he was. He got hurt. And he didn't start at the beginning of the year. And when he did get the starting job, he got hurt soon thereafter. I think there is something to be said for that as well. I am fired up that Gator fans are fired up, and I'm fired up that we're establishing DJ Lagway on this pedestal after a 60% completion percentage with 12 touchdowns. The 12 touchdowns and 9 picks don't even really bother me all that much. A couple of the picks were deflections. I know that, but those were the numbers. The 60% completion percentage bothers me far more than the touchdown to interception ratio. He needs to be better, quite frankly. And I love the narrative that, well, they could have beat Georgia had Lagway not gotten hurt. Yeah, well, Lagway was 2 of 6 in that game before he left with an injury. He wasn't exactly tearing up the stat book in that game. I do like the offensive line. Heck, it might be the best offensive line in the SEC that they have down there in Florida. I'm optimistic about the wide receivers, and I like the running game. I think Lagway is going to have some help. And again, I do think he's going to be good. I'm just in that wait-and-see approach before I put him in New York as a Heisman finalist. But we'll see. That's the beauty of it. The answers are going to come soon. And for DJ Lagway in Florida, the answers are going to come in the first month. With road games at LSU and at Miami, we're going to know by the end of September what Florida has this year, and more importantly, what DJ Lagway has this year. More in the world of college football coming up in a moment. Let's get into the National Football League. My buddy Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Our final team preview. We started back on May the 7th, I believe. We end tonight on July 10th. Our 32nd and final team is the hometown Jacksonville Jaguars. And former Jaguar Leon Searcy joins me next right here on Hacker After Dark.
Turn on the radio. In your car, 92.5 FM and 1010 AM.
Would you like to drive for a while?
In your house, at the beach, on your phone, at the gym, on vacation, out of town.
Well, everyone knows that.
Download our free 1010XL app for all smart devices.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
Ideal Conditions Heating and Air Conditioning is your go-to for all AC repairs and replacements. Just gas your AC. For exceptional service, call 904-500-COOL or visit idealconditionsjax.com to schedule your estimate today.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
Idealconditionsjax.com.
Get ready. The Jacksonville Rock Orchestra brings to life the magic of Fleetwood Mac. Like you've never heard it before. A 27-piece symphony fused with a full rock band, performing timeless hits like Rhiannon, Dreams, and You Make Loving Fun. One night only, July 11th at the historic Florida Theater. Get tickets today at floridatheater.com.
Brackish Vodka, the spirit of the sportsman and proud partner of the Jaguars, is poured at Southern Coast Seafood, now open Mondays. Enjoy craft for $12.99 a pound on Tuesdays. Drink Brackish Wednesdays with $1 oyster on the half shell. Brackish Vodka is the first clean craft vodka made right here in Jacksonville for whatever your sport is. If your sport is crab at Southern Coast, your vodka is Brackish. Southern Coast Seafood, now open Mondays. Brackish Vodka, proud partner of the Jaguars.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On July 10th, 1999, the United States beat China in penalty kicks 5-4 in the Women's World Cup final.
Frank Franzi here for Coil Fencing. Jacksonville's full of memorable sports moments. Remember Tiger Woods' 60-foot putt on the iconic 17th? Gary Coate called it better than most. Better than most. Well, Coil Fencing is better than most. They're better than all. Coil has been that for nearly 100 years. So if you're in the market for a new fence, I recommend calling Coyle & Sons today. That's at 904-356-4821 or visit coiljax.com. That's C-O-Y-L-E Jax.com.
Lucas Tree Service is a certified arborist and a local family-owned business with over 45 years of experience. They specialize in tree removal, trimming, and stump grinding for both residential and commercial properties. Get prepared for storm season and receive top-notch customer service from Lucas Tree Service, 904-241-3533. Online at lucastreeservice.com.
The playoff-bound Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp are in full swing at the newly renovated VyStar Ballpark. Your home for affordable family fun. Tickets start at just $5. Fireworks after every Friday home game, and kids round the bases after Sunday games. Log on to jackshrimp.com for tickets and details. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable family fun.
Been in a car crash? I'm local attorney Rick Alexander, and I've made it our mission at the Alexander Law Practice to listen to you so I can fight for the best possible result for you. I've been practicing over 30 years, and our team focuses on guiding you through the entire process. And because fees and reimbursement costs come out at the end of the case, I will never ask you to come out of pocket. For a free review, call 904-400-6600 or log on to alexanderlawpractice.com, Jacksonville.
Need the right tools for the job without the full-time price tag? Tucker Equipment Rentals in Neptune Beach is what you need when you need it. From heavy machinery for commercial projects to weekend projects at the house, we've got you covered. We've been serving Jacks for 50 years. Visit Tucker Equipment Rentals in Neptune Beach, just behind Aqua East Surf Shop, or call today. We also have event rentals too. Tucker Equipment Rentals. Tools you need without the price tag of purchasing.
Hi folks, Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Ever wonder what to do with leftover paint that you don't want? Here's a few options. Paint can be placed in the regular trash if it's dry. Simply stir in kitty litter to a thick consistency. Then wait a few days with the lid off till it dries. Also, if the paint is good, there's many charities or churches that would love to have it. If you'd like more tips or have a project, we'd love to help. Go to performance-painting.com. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Guys, want a golf course fairway quality lawn? TopDressing.com just landed in Jacksonville with the golf course secret for St. Augustine grass homeowners. A patented process that aerates and turns your turf into a fairway stunner. Serious golf course technology, but in your yard. Less water, tighter cuts, total neighborhood domination. No one else scores a perfect 10 lawn. Hit TopDressing.com now. You will own the block. Top dress your yard like the pros with TopDressing.com.
Is your backyard ready for the big leagues? Pick it here for Surfside Pools. Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, they have the home field advantage. Family owned and operated, offering weekly pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools make your backyard dreams a reality. Are you ready to float happy? Visit SurfsidePools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, your hometown MVP.
License number CPC 044080.
ET here, and if you've ever been injured in an accident, visit my buddy Dr. McGowan at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. You have 14 days to see a doctor and protect your insurance benefits, even if you're at fault. And no matter what you hear, you have the right to choose your own doctor. So I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Their auto experts will guide you in every step of the way to ensure the care that you need. Your recovery starts with McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Our division previews began back in early May. We have gone through all 8 divisions, and tonight we will end with our 32nd and final team, and that is, of course, the hometown Jacksonville Jaguars. What an offseason it was. Where are the Jaguars as they enter the 2025 season in regards to the rest of the AFC South? Let's talk about all of it with former Jacksonville Jaguar offensive tackle. You hear him every day here on 1010XL on XL Primetime. That, of course, is my buddy, Leon Searcy. Leon, how are you, man?
Doing good, bro.
Leon, appreciate the time as always. Hope your summer is going well. And look, you know, as we summarize an off season here in Jacksonville, you could probably argue, Leon, one of the craziest, wildest, whatever verbiage you want to use. It's been one of those off seasons unlike anything we've ever seen here in Duval County.
Well, yeah, I mean, I related to cleaning house, bro. You know, there was a lot of old debris inside of Jacksonville in-house, and Shad Khan made the necessary changes. You know, after coming off a 4-13 season, he made changes at critical positions in the front office with the new GM, and then the hiring of Liam Cohen, and then a lot of, you know, what we thought at one particular time viable free agents were let go. It's simply because, you know, they had outlived their welcome. And I can appreciate that, you know, because I always felt that this team needed a cleaning from the top to the bottom, you know, because our concerns, you know, before, you know, all the cleaning that was done in Jacksonville, our concerns that they were going to keep the GM and hire another head coach. But after what happened last year, a 4-13 record, I mean, the GM and the head coach had to be new. So I can appreciate what Shad Khan did and bringing in, you know, Gladstone and bringing in Liam Cohen and getting rid of some pricey free agents.
You were out there at all the OTAs. You were out there at minicamp. Again, there's not a lot to learn until training camp, and obviously we get into the season, but you obviously have a different perspective than most, 11 years in the NFL. What did you take away from Cohen and the staff this offseason, how they kind of ran things during the OTAs and during minicamps?
Well, you know, Hacker, I was particularly watching the offensive line because, you know, that's, you know, that's my mindset as a former offensive line player. And what I noticed was the tempo. And, you know, I watched practices of the other regime and was offended by the fact that there was guys, you know, kind of lollygagging around, you know, joking around in the line. And, you know, I was particularly that there needed to be separations with the tackles and the guards and centers, and there needed to be more reps. It's very important that you get a lot of reps in practice. And that's what I noticed. I noticed that there was much more upbeat, there was much more tempo, there were a lot more reps, and corrections were made right then and there. Oftentimes, coaches, you know, let practice and take its course, and then they make the corrections when they watch film. But no, the offensive line coach and the assistant offensive line coach was in there, particularly after every rep, telling the guys what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, specifying, hand placement, head placement, steps, attack angles, coming out of your stance, transitioning out of your stance. So I was excited. And I know, it's the off season, and there's always optimism in the off season. But I could just tell, in those particular drills with the offensive line, there was a lot more energy and a lot more tempo than I had seen before.
Former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy with us here on Hacker After Dark as our AFC South preview concludes tonight, talking about the hometown Jacksonville Jaguars. We're on the offensive line, Leon. Let's stay there. 6 new guys, 4 free agents, 2 in the draft class. Obviously, that's a ton of newness in that room. We always hear about cohesiveness, chemistry, knowing what the man next to you is going to do. You lived that life for 11 years in the NFL. Is there a concern that they brought in so many new guys that could be an issue there on the offensive line?
Yeah, it could be an issue because one thing I did see in OTAs and minicamp, there was a lot of mixing and matching. There was a lot of guys going in and out. There was no real stability in guys at different positions. I guess that's just letting guys know that there's going to be healthy competition when training camp gets here. But at some particular time, maybe not now, but maybe in the early August, you like to have your front 5 together. Just for communication purposes, trust purposes. There's got to be cohesiveness amongst the 5 guys. It's got to be like an ugly marriage, You're the ugliest bride and groom put together because, I had an All-Pro season, when I played there, but a lot of it had to do with the fact that I played next to Tilsky. So don't get me wrong, a lot of double teams, a lot of communications on twist, a lot of spoken and unspoken communication that we had with one another because we had spent so much time, in the weight room, watching film, after practice, during practice. So you got to have that. You got to have that kind of relationship with the guy next to you, and hopefully, we can build that kind of rapport with this offensive line because, you got to be all in it together. Absolutely, you got to be all in together if you're going to have the kind of success that you're looking for this season.
Final offensive line question. If it were you, not what the Jaguars are going to do, let me ask you both. Let me ask what you would do, and then I'll ask you what you think is going to happen. Who are the 2 starting offensive tackles on opening day?
I believe it's going to be Harrison and Walker Little.
Is that what you would do?
From what I've seen, just OTAs and minicamps, and this can all change once training camp gets here because the paths are different. But just from what I've seen, OTAs and minicamp, yes, those will be my guys.
And the Harrison thing, look, there was a message sent to him through the media. When they're getting at the podium and they're saying that Anton is really good, and basically when he wants to be, that's a message to Anton Harrison. You think he's received that message?
Yeah, he should. They're basically saying he's not consistent. There was issues of his tardiness as well, speculation of tardiness. And, listen, that was his whole season last year. After the phenomenal season he had his rookie year outside of Kansas City where Chris Jones baptized him, he was on a roller coaster ride last year, up and down. We need to have consistency from him. And this is about the time your 3rd year. Your 3rd year, you can, and I'm only saying your 3rd year because that's when I elevated my status from just being a lineman to a potential All-Pro, because I had played the game enough to where it actually slowed down for me, where I could see guys move. I studied so much film. So this should be an elevation year for Anton Harrison. If he plays the same way he played in year 2, he more than likely is just going to be another lineman instead of what the potential he has to be an All-Pro.
Couple more for former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy. Leon, you've now gotten a glimpse at Travis Hunter, again, in a T-shirt and shorts. We'll know a lot more a month from now, but what's your early opinion about Travis Hunter?
Well, Okay, first of all, the kid's affectionate. He's affectionate, which means that, you know, he has this kind of energy that draws you to him. He's always smiling. He loves the game of football. He's dancing, he's grooving, he's moving, all that kind of stuff. And I know some people get offended by that kind of stuff because he's playing. But hell, there's music out there. What the hell what are you supposed to do?
Well, at the end of the day, Leon, football is supposed to be fun, correct?
Exactly. Football is supposed to be fun, absolutely. But listen, I'm gonna tell you something. I saw this kid do something in the back of the end zone that just blew my mind. He elevated. I think it might have been 7-on-7, or he might have been catching some balls with the quarterbacks or something like that. But he jumped off the ground with one leg elevated and caught the ball with one hand in the back of the end zone and then toe tap with two. I said, that don't make no sense. Now, it didn't make any sense. Now, I've probably seen other wide receivers in games do that, you know, but it was refreshing to know that this kid's mainstay is DB, but to see him elevate like a wide receiver was awesome to see.
Leon, there's no doubt it's a gigantic year for Trevor Lawrence. Now, it's his fourth different head coach in 6 years. If you go back to his final year at Clemson, I mean, for crying out loud, it's the third different center he's had in 3 straight years. He hasn't exactly had a lot of stability. But having said that, I mean, he's 25, right? He's going to be turning, I believe, 26 this year. Year 5, it's time for Trevor to show what he's capable of, correct?
Yeah, this is about it for Trevor. I mean, listen, the Jaguars not going to get rid of him because, I mean, he counts too much against the cap over the next couple of years. So you're stuck with him for at least 2 more years, as maybe even 3. But, I mean, that shouldn't be – I don't want to look at it like that. I don't want to look at it like we stuck with Trevor Lawrence. I want this kid who has all the potential in the world to elevate his game to help this team win. I mean, he has all the tutelage, you know, the height, the weight, the arm strength, the intellect, the talent. I just need to see more grit. I do. I mean, I would just want to see the Trevor that played at Clemson. You know, that's the Trevor I want to see. Now, I know he had a lot of good around him. I know coming to Jacksonville, you know, you're not going to always have that much good around you, but I mean, he was phenomenal at Clemson, absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, I remember when I was in Pittsburgh and I had a conversation with this guy, the guy that played next to me called Hasserid. I remember he snatched me up after practice, took me to this bar called Sweet Georgia Brown. We're sitting at the bar drinking 7 and 7s. and he said to me, he said, Big Sirs, where is the Leon Searcy that played at University of Miami that I used to watch and see? Mm-hmm. That's the guy I need beside me. I mean, it changed my whole career because he was right. I wasn't playing with the same tenacity and grit and toughness that I played at Miami for whatever reason it was. But I know that when you disappoint your teammates, when it comes from your teammates, that you're not playing how you should be playing, I'm going to tell you something. That's like a dagger to your heart.
There's no doubt. And look, I know you've said that story in the past, and it lit a fire under you. And I wonder, I mean, do the Jaguars have leadership in that locker room to be able to do that? I mean, Trevor's probably one of the leaders, but that brings me to one of my final questions, Leon. The newness with this roster, man. I mean, normally I don't really need a roster sheet. You know how I am with jersey numbers. I'm happy I have a roster sheet now because of the 90 guys that are going to be out there at training camp. Like 50 to 55 of them weren't even here in January. I mean, when you have so many new guys and you're trying to build chemistry this quick, I mean, training camp's always vitally important, but this year it's probably even ramped up a notch.
I know, bro. They worse than Deion Sanders in the portal. I mean,
yeah.
they cleared house, man. But you know, but that lets you know that this coaching staff watched film. And they knew that they needed to upgrade. Now, we won't know if it's an upgrade or not until we start playing football games. But we knew that this roster was depleted. It lacked talent. We overpaid guys in free agency. And they weren't winning enough games. So, I mean, there was an overhaul by Gladstone and Liam Cohen to get, you know, better quality guys, get guys to compete for their positions, roster spots on the line. I mean that's good and healthy. But only thing you can do right now, Hacker, is that you got to wait to week 1 to see if these upgrades are going to pay off.
Leon, final question. We got 60 seconds. The division as a whole. Tennessee looks like they're still in the midst of a rebuild. Indianapolis's roster looks pretty good, but they obviously have questions at quarterback. And Houston took a bad offensive line last year and, quite frankly, probably made it worse on paper with some of their moves. I mean, I'm not trying to be sunshine and rainbows guy here, but if there's any division that a 4-win team from last year can maybe do something in, it might be the AFC South.
It could be. And that's not always healthy. I mean, because if you got a lackluster division, then you have a tendency to play lackluster. I know when I was in Jacksonville, we had to play the Ravens twice, the Steelers twice, the Titans twice. So sometimes iron sharpens irons. But here's a question you got to ask yourself, Hacker. As easy as the division may seem, what position grouping in the division do you think that we lead the division at? Not at quarterback, not at running back, not at wide receiver, not at offensive line, not at defensive line, linebackers or cornerbacks. So if you can name one position grouping that the Jaguars in the division that you would say you would take over the other division foes.
We probably have the best kicker, Leon, and the best punter. How about that?
Special teams. Yes, we are the special teams capital of the world. How about that?
Yeah. No, it's a good point. It's a good point. Everybody's got flaws in the division, and certainly the Jaguars are not without flaws. It's never a flaw when we have Leon Searcy here on Hacker After Dark. And, Leon, we are now inside of 2 months until the 5th quarter returns. Certainly looking forward to doing that program again with you once again this year. We're going on, 8 or 9 years now of doing that show together. Certainly looking forward to it, man. Enjoy the rest of your summer, and we'll talk again real soon.
Appreciate you, bro.
Jaguars legend, Tony Baselli.
1010XL. Baloo here for Smoonez Vision. Why Smoonez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smoonez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smoonez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smoonez is fellowship trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmoonezVision.com today. Here you can see.
Right now, you may be running a little late, or feeling stressed, or overwhelmed, and you may be going a bit over the speed limit. So to help you relax, exhale. Ease up on the gas. You'll get there when you get there. Take a moment to just chill. This little break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
Storms don't wait, so why should you? Protect your home and your wallet with Universal Roof and Contracting. Save 15% on roof replacements and repairs now through July 31st. And financing is available with payments as low as $115. Call 855-ROOF-HELP for your free inspection. Universal Roof and Contracting. Protecting your home, building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com. Hey, Jacksonville, need a fence and ready to save? At Superior Fence and Rail, you'll lock in 5% off your fence project when you sign by the end of July. Unlimited time offer for savings and peace of mind this summer. Now accepting appointments for a free estimate. So act fast and get 5% off your entire fence project when you finalize by July 31st. Cannot be combined with other offers. New contracts only.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Don't miss the Bari Breakdown with Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays around 3:20 for the latest in sports injuries. From all the big names in the game, who's MIA, who's coming back from injury. Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays at 3:20.
PRP treatment is kind of the thing these days, and in many cases, it eliminates the need for surgery. This is Sheridan Tootin, and my experience with PRP from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has been nothing short of great. I'm really feeling much better now. Ask your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist doctor about PRP treatment.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. In summertime, it really can stretch out most of the year because we love the warm temperatures here in the Sunshine State. Greg, give them an idea of what Honda has to offer.
They are all over the board. They've got Honda scooters, Honda motorcycles, we've got Honda boats, we've got Honda side-by-sides. Whatever you like, we've got it.
That means adventure is waiting.
That's right, and we're ready for you.
In the showroom, you can find all that Honda has to offer on Atlantic near Regency, or check out Cycles of Jacksonville's Facebook page.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
Are you ready to play this summer? At the First Coast YMCA, we're committed to being your home for health and wellness and a place for friendly competition with team sports for adults and for kids. Basketball, volleyball, pickleball, flag football, soccer. The Y has something for everyone at any age. Discover all the benefits of YMCA membership and find your fun this summer at the Y. Registration for team sports and summer camps is open now. Visit fcymca.org.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is RJ with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at KuhnFlowers.com.
Celebrate National Carpet Cleaning Month with Zero Res. Hicken here. Check this out. $45 per room of carpet clean. Take 20% off your air duct services. Book online at ZeroResJacksonville.com and take advantage of the savings.
Zero Res. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. We have toured the AFC South all week long. We've made stops in Nashville and Indianapolis and Houston, and obviously right here in Jacksonville. Now let's talk to a guy that covers the division as a whole, all four teams. Let's put a bow on our AFC South coverage with Mike Patton. He is the host of the Touring the AFC South podcast, and Mike is always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Mike, how we doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Hey, Mike, we're good, man. Thank you for the time, as always. And we'll get to Jacksonville towards the end. I want to focus on the other three teams with you. And let's go up to where you are. You're based in the Nashville area. Let's talk about the Tennessee Titans. And, Mike, the vibe I've gotten in talking to people in Nashville this week is there's excitement about what Cam Ward could potentially bring to that franchise. There's also realism in what 2025 could be for that franchise. Do you agree with that?
I definitely agree with it. I mean, the excitement around Cam Ward is you can't help but have it in the way he carries himself and just the things that he brings, the professionalism as well as the quiet confidence. But there's also the realism of this team may be a year or two away from being where they want to be. They could maybe surprise some people in some games. It could some games not show up potentially. You just don't know. And that's the questions that lie around this team this year and the realism in terms of, you could have an up and down team this year.
Well, the crazy thing about the Titans is the seesaw we've had. I mean, they fire a GM, they don't fire the head coach. Then the next offseason, they fire the head coach, they don't fire the GM. And now for the third straight year, they fire a GM, they keep the head coach, so they bring in Borgonzi from Kansas City to replace Rand Carthon. But again, he and Brian Callahan were not hired at the same time. Are they on the same page?
Well, currently, the way it sounds like they're on the same page. I will say that this season, the way it goes with the Titans and the way the vibe is, I mean, it isn't out of the realm of possibility that you could potentially see another head coach come in with a GM that's still here. I mean, I don't want to see that for them and for Titans fans, but that's the real potential if they don't see any growth in this team this year. And it's kind of been just a strange kind of path that the Titans have been on, and kind of not mirroring the GM with the head coach, which, that doesn't really happen a ton in NFL football.
I got to ask you about Calvin Ridley, year number 2 for him up in Nashville. I guess it was a miracle that he had 1,000 yards receiving with the quarterback play he had last year. What is your thought on Ridley entering year number 2 there with the Titans?
He seems like he's taking more of a leadership role and more of a veteran leadership role with this team. I know Cam Ward speaks very highly of him. A lot of the young wide receivers speak very highly of him in terms of his work ethic and things like that. So, it seems like he's taking more of a leadership role, and he seems even more comfortable when it comes to being a Tennessee Titan at this point in year 2.
Mike Patton is the host of the Touring the AFC South podcast. He's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Mike, let's go to Indianapolis. I think it's the same story every year with them. They got a great roster on paper outside of the quarterback position, and now there is a full-blown quarterback controversy. And I don't even know, Mike, if it is a controversy, because a couple of people in Indy I've talked to this week, boy, it sounds like it's Daniel Jones' job to lose in training camp. What's your thought there?
Well, I would say this: if I'm the Colts, I want Anthony Richardson to win that job. But if he doesn't, perform or actually be out there at practice, due to injuries, then it very much could be Daniel Jones' job. And right now, with minicamp, of course, him missing minicamps, it looks like Daniel Jones has had more time to acclimate himself to this team, to this offense, to the players around him. So it could very much end up being Daniel Jones as the quarterback, even if Anthony Richardson starts the season potentially, because, the history of Anthony Richardson is injuries and not being able to stay on the field. So Daniel Jones, even if he doesn't start the season, he could eventually end up being a quarterback for that team.
Mike, I mean, it's a simple question, and maybe it's a simple answer, injuries, but maybe it's more complex. You tell me. To this point, why has it not worked out for Anthony Richardson in the NFL?
Well, honestly, I think the development process. I mean, I've talked to NFL quarterback, former NFL quarterback and Hall of Famer Warren Moon about him, and he feels that he should have never really been starting to begin with. He should have been developed and things like that. And then in the rush to develop him, this is what we've gotten. We've gotten a guy that's still trying to develop in year 3. The injuries didn't help that situation, but we still have a guy that's trying to develop in year 3, which at this point he should be kind of, showing signs and things like that. So to me, I think they kind of botched the process of having him out there, one, and then having him out there in a situation that is actually comfortable for him, because it looks like they put him out there in a situation that was not comfortable for him, and he hasn't, progressed the way they thought he would, which it's, some of it maybe on him, but a lot of that you got to look at Shane Steichen and the Colts organization as a whole.
The crazy thing about the Indianapolis Colts is you look at the rest of that roster, boy, it's pretty good. Offense, they spent a lot of money on defense to bring in Travarius Ward and Cam Bynum. If they get anything from the quarterback position, Mike, Indianapolis could be a pretty good team this year.
They definitely could be. Just got to get solid play. That's all they need. They don't need a guy to go out and be a superstar. They just need a guy to have solid play from the quarterback position, give the ball to Jonathan Taylor maybe 20 times a game, and, a few splash plays from Josh Downs and Michael Pittman Jr., among others, in that offense.
A couple of more from Mike Patton, who's the host of the Touring the AFC South podcast. Mike, to Houston we go. I'd be honest with you, man. I was not a fan of a lot they did this offseason. Now, look, the horrible injury to Tank Dell last year, I don't know if we're even going to see him in the 2025 season. They also lose Stephon Diggs after he tore his ACL. They do bring in Christian Kirk, who obviously we're very familiar with here. But some of the things along the offensive line that they did made me scratch my head. I don't know, man. What do you think about the Texans offseason?
A lot of questions when it comes to that offensive line. Now, I will say this. The one trade to Kenyon Green did give them C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He's going to be the ultimate irritant when it comes to any AFC South team or any team Houston plays in general. So I can expect the intensity or the irritant ability will be on high alert probably when Jacksonville plays Houston, as if it needs any more fire to that storm right there. But going back to the offensive line, it's definitely, interesting. You get rid of Kenyon Green. You don't bring back Shaq Mason. You get rid of Laramie Tunsil. You bring in Cam Robinson, which I'm pretty sure Jacksonville fans are very familiar with. You bring in Laken Tomlinson, which it looks like he might not even start. Then you bring in Ursery, which is a rookie from, I believe, Minnesota or Arizona State. I think maybe Minnesota. But anyway, you bring in a rookie off the tackle. You got a lot of guys there that, are competing for positions, but you don't have a guy that can be like, okay, cool, I can depend on you at this position. So that doesn't bode well, in my opinion, for C.J. Stroud. I mean, I'm going to have to see some things in this season before I'm like, okay, this offensive line is better than they were last year. Because right now, it's hard to even think of that or say that.
There's no doubt, Mike, C.J. Stroud was better in year one than he was in year two. Do you chalk that up to a sophomore slump, or is it deeper than that?
Oh, it's definitely deeper than that. I mean, this offensive line last year, even with Laramie Tunsil and Kenyon Green, was rough last year. He ran more and was throwing the football more than he did in his rookie season, which he had a pretty good pocket every single time. The thing with him, though, also is processing information while being on the run a little bit more may be a step that he takes this year because, of course, you don't know what this offensive line is going to be. Hopefully Nico Collins being healthy the whole season for him will help him. He was only healthy for 10 games last year. And maybe a veteran receiver, Christian Kirk, does help out, along with the young guys that they do bring in as well, especially the big guy from Iowa State, Jaden Higgins. Big 6'4", 205 guy, but from what I've heard, he moves around like he's a 6-foot guy when it comes out of cuts and things like that. So maybe those weapons, the dual running backs with Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon, help him out and kind of ease the pressure that was on him last season, especially with the way the offensive line pass protected.
And, of course, we know how good that Texans defense is, and they should be good again here in 2025. Mike Patton, the host of the Touring the AFC South podcast. Mike, that brings us here to Jacksonville and what has been maybe the most eventful offseason in team history. It's certainly in the conversation. You think back to all the way back in January with the Liam Cohen saga, then to James Gladstone, then to free agency where they were the most active team in free agency, and then obviously the trade for Travis Hunter in the draft. I mean, what have you made about what the Jaguars have done here over the last 6 months?
Oh, they seem committed. The Jaguars seem committed to trying to be better, which that is, sometimes it hasn't always been the case or it's been a question. So this year it seems like they're committed. They paid big money to Jordan Lewis, one of the best slot cornerbacks in the NFL. They tried to bring in some pieces of the offensive line. They bring in Liam Cohen, which is a guy that did wonders with Baker Mayfield last season, with Baker Mayfield having a career high in across the board in terms of touchdowns and passing yards. And then also, the thing also is giving him more weapons as well. Now, giving him younger weapons, but, more weapons in my opinion. So it should be interesting just to see what they're able to do, and it just seems like a little bit more of a brand of trying to go out and trying to be better and trying to win and having a championship attitude as opposed to being, making moves and kind of hoping it hits with Trent Baalke.
This could be a glass half full Jaguar blinder comment on, you tell me, but for a 4-win team to have any hope to win the division the very next year, you got to improve your roster, and you have to play in a down division. I think the Jaguars have improved their roster, and I think they play in arguably one of, if not the worst divisions in football. Now, I don't know if the Jaguars will win the division, but, Mike, you factor in those two things, I think the Jaguars have an opportunity to win the division. Would you agree with that?
Well, I agree. They definitely have a chance to win the division. The biggest thing for Jacksonville is to play up to their talent level. When Jacksonville plays up to their talent level, and that's across the board, they can be a very, very tough team to beat. When, things are kind of hit or miss, that's when you have the questions, and that's when you have some folks that come out and wonder if it's the same old Jacksonville or if it's just a bump in the road. So they're able to play up their talent and their ability. Yes, they very much have a chance to win this division.
All right, Mike, as we begin to wrap up, how do you see the division? We won't hold you to it. It's only the early to middle portion of July, and we'll obviously have you back on prior to the regular season kicking off. But as it stands right now, as camps open up in a couple of weeks, how do you see the South 1 through 4 right now?
Right now, I see Houston still leading the division. I say the defense is probably going to, be the star-studded thing while the offense kind of gets itself together and, figures out the new offensive coordinator who came from the Los Angeles Rams. Put them at number 1. And number 2, I'm going to put Jacksonville at number 2 right now. There's just too many quarterback questions when it comes to the Indianapolis Colts right now, even though I do love their roster as a whole. It's pretty solid. Number 3, I'm going to put the Colts right there. Maybe they'll be better, depending on if they figure out the quarterback situation, if they get solid play there. And right now, I'm going to put the Titans at number 4. Doesn't mean they're going to end up there, but it just means right now, I can't see any way to put them above the last spot right now.
Mike, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about the Touring the AFC South podcast, when it airs, and where they can find it.
Well, the Touring the AFC South podcast, basically, we talked about the AFC South. We talk about it all the time. We actually just finished up the top 10 AFC South player ranking. Had a couple Jaguars players in there as well. And also, of course, just breaking down the season, different questions in training camp, and those different things. We air 2 times a week, mostly on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But, it can change up a little bit. But you can always catch the shows on every listening platform, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to your podcasts, things like that. And also you can catch it on YouTube. Just look up Touring the AFC South. We got about 344 episodes on there for you. And one I had on there talked about George Foster was on there talking about the offensive line play. For those that like to talk about the trenches, there you go. I made one especially for you.
Yeah, George Foster. A lot of people around here remember him from his days there with the University of Georgia. Mike Patton, the host of the Touring the AFC South podcast. Mike, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. We'll talk again before the regular season arrives.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the time.
And thank you to Mike Patton, who's the host of the Touring the AFC South podcast, for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark to take a deep dive into Houston, Indianapolis, Tennessee, and, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars. We've been going around the AFC South all week. We'll actually continue that tomorrow night as well on a Friday night edition, but we certainly appreciate Mike Patton, the host of the Touring the AFC South podcast, for joining us this evening. We spent some time on the division as a whole, certainly spent some time on the Jacksonville Jaguars and how crazy their offseason has been now that we are inside of 2 weeks away until Jaguar training camp. Also spent a lot of time in the world of college football, talking Florida, Florida State, Miami, and Georgia, as it is Media Days season, right? Big 12 Media Days already wrapped up in Dallas. We're 2 weeks away, less than 2 weeks away from ACC and Big Ten Media Days. And, of course, next week in Atlanta, the SEC Media Days, as we are now roughly 6 weeks away from the start of the 2025 college football season. Well, that will just about do it, man. It has been a very, very busy Thursday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Mike Patton, the host of the Touring the AFC South podcast. Thank you to Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You hear him every day here on XL Primetime. We also get him weekly during the NFL season here on Hacker After Dark, and certainly appreciate Leon taking time out for us this evening. Thank you to Phil Steele. Phil Steele of the great Phil Steele Preseason College Football Magazine, as we did a deep dive into Florida, Florida State, Georgia, and Miami with Phil Steele. And we also thank Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated for talking Jaguars and AFC South with us this evening here on Hacker After Dark. Always love talking ball with one of my favorites, Matt Verderam of SI. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Friday. It will be getaway day for me, some vacation time next week, but certainly looking forward to tomorrow night's broadcast, and we will be with you beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending